大家好，欢迎来到Life Outside the Default。我是你们的今天的guest Ella。Hello and welcome to Life Outside the Default podcast. I'm your guest. My name is Ella. I am a concert pianist. Also, I host a podcast called Out of Office, and I'm Chinese. I'm based in Lisbon, and I have a husky named Togo. He's 4.5 years old.
Thank you so much. It was perfect. It just sounds so cool to me. Of course, I can't understand a word of it other than when you said life outside the default, but it's such a beautiful language. So thank you for
Oh,
that.
thank you. Thank you. Yeah, the more I grow up, the more I get to connect with my identity more. So when I was younger, I was definitely trying to run away from being Chinese because, growing up in the UK alone, and it's almost like, you want to be accepted by the society, by your school friends, by, people around you, because nobody really know about China. At the time, China was a very, they would call it underdeveloped country or third world country. And, decades after, and it does gain some, some importance through both negative and positive advocates. So I don't know. It's, definitely now I feel more, proud of being connected to my roots.
I think that's a very natural thing to feel that way, especially in our teenage years. You want to fit in, and
Yeah.
it kind of goes back to even like tribal times when if you didn't fit in with the tribe, you were kicked out, and that meant your lack of survival. So I think it's a little bit built into our DNA to want to fit in. But then, especially as a teenager, that desire is pretty strong at that age.
Yes, I think so because you don't really know where you coming from and or you're going, and all you're trying to is the like you said, survival mode, because being an outcast is kind of, you're probably gonna end up dying. you know?
Right. It's true.
Yeah.
How old were you when you moved to the UK?
So I moved there when I was 14, and my parents sent me to a boarding school. At the time was a very kind of avant-garde thing to do because, being an only child, like any other older Chinese family, and you do felt like very privileged to have that chance to go somewhere. And so that was the beginning of my super rebellious journey.
How did it feel to be taken from your family, from your home country, and then planted into a completely different culture with a different language, different food?
And it felt liberated because
Nice.
I come from a very toxic family. So my father was very, very abusive and to my mother. And so growing up, I have always wanted them to divorce. So that was my secret wish. Like my mother being a Christian, a very rare, Christian in China. And she always asked me to make a wish, like during Christmas, and secretly, I can't tell her. I was like, I want you to get divorced. But, in my heart, I've always just said, oh, please, just these two, they just don't work together. Why bother, right? Being together.
Right.
So that was my very, very secret wish. And, as soon as I arrived in the UK, the wish came true. That was, oh my God, I trust universe, I trust God, I trust everything. Yeah. So
Ha-
yeah, it was liberated.
That wasn't what I was expecting, so that's really cool to hear that it was a
I
very
know
positive thing
many
for
people say,
you.
oh, you must miss home. You must be homesick. I was like, completely not. So I grew up in a very toxic family. Like people probably, they don't relate my image because I am a very positive person. I like to, inspire people. I would say I have a fairly happy life. Yes. Of course I get to, like winter, I have the winter syndrome. They're called SAD, right? I mean, everybody has it.
Me
And some
too.
people just,
Yes.
yeah, I do. I have vitamin D. My powerful vitamin D is there. But I think growing up in that kind of environment really, really hurt me to the core that I know since I was a child, I know that I don't want to have a child because there's no good positive example about how parenting would look like. And even my extended family is even more toxic, very lonely. You are like a, only child, and your parents gave so much hope on you. They put everything on you. They think you're going to become, I don't know, the next superstar, whatever that is. and they invest everything on you, and they spoil you, and then they don't know how to love you. And I saw that since I was a very, very young. So I was the parent to them. I had already had two adult babies. So I felt so constantly tired, just being the one who's trying to bring them together after each fight and trying to just get through that night without someone getting injured. Because my dad used to beat my mom up so bad, so I had to call police. And
Wow.
I called on policemen so many times. And then at the time, China was like, "Oh, it's your family business. We don't want to involve." I had to call neighbors. I was banging on neighbors' door like middle of the night, and so it was very traumatic. And I do understand. At the time, I was like, what this guy's doing? I wasn't even angry with them. I just felt like they were very immature.
Mm,
And so, leave them was like a secret wish that for me, like family's always been a kind of a burden to me.
uh-huh,
Um, so I think somehow that seed was planted. So for me, I would value my friendship extremely. I would value it much, much more than my, own family. So I'm quite distant with my family. And uh, my mother lives in China. My father lives in US. We don't see each other. I see my mom more often. And yeah, it's kind of, I think it was written that way. So the way I grew up and then how I heal myself, because of course you are so injured. And then once you kind of withdraw yourself from that toxic environment, and then you kind of go to a better place in a way that you don't get that turbulent feeling
uh-huh.
from them directly. So they can't influence you that much. And so the healing journey started without noticing. So it was unconscious healing journey. It was very, very long.
That's a lot of pressure on a child, not only to see that, but to kind of try to be the mediator to help the parents break up the fight or try to do something about it.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it was not a happy childhood, I would
Mhm.
say. And yeah, but somehow I think I'm okay.
Yeah. I love that you were able to come out of that situation and now you're happy. I can tell just in our little bit of interaction and then watching your blogs online, you're friendly, you're sweet, you haven't let that jade you or tarnish you?
Oh, thank you for saying that. Yeah, sometimes I do need also give myself a little bit more credit, especially when people discussing about their parents. And I was like, what about me? Like, I don't really have kind of, role model or
Mhm.
something to really look up to. And yeah, but I think it is what it is, and it definitely taught me a lot of resilience. Kind of build my resilient side through life, and especially in very, very dark places. And you do know that okay, if I came out from that, I probably can pave a way through, and then probably I can come out from this again. And who knows, maybe the next you know dark place when it comes, I can also go through.
You've already built that strength and resilience, like you said. You're like, "Okay, I got through that, I can get through this next challenge." Was there anything in particular that you did on your healing journey, or was it simply just being removed from that toxic situation?
I think to be really, accepted. So I'm really thankful to my adolescent life in the UK, because I think my teachers and my mentor, my guardians, they were very, very nice to me. And they accepted me for who I am. And even though we're not related, and also, the friendship that you build when you were a teenager. So it is still,
Mhm.
we're still friends after so many years. And yeah, all of them have children. And yeah, but yeah, when you think about it, it does help you a lot, because kind of you uplifted your root and you go somewhere and then you rebuild yourself. And also through music, because that's my ultimate, maybe my savior, and the divine energy comes from that. It did help me a lot, and so I cannot thank that enough. That experience.
So how did you get into music and playing the piano, especially on a professional level?
Because my father, he's a violinist. He was a violinist, and he and my mom just decided for me to become a pianist before I was born.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was the very typical Asian family. It's I think until now, this Asian gene just keep going on. Like everybody say, oh, you have to be the next Eileen Gu. You have to be the next, like whoever that is. So I started when I was 4 years old, and I never really stopped. I did have a little bit of like doubt, like, oh, should I really, really take as my career? Because it's a painful career too. So it's a very lonely career because you have to practice basically most of the time, and you do have a huge pressure when it comes to performance, and you do have stage fright, and you have to go through a lot of just isolated time, and being the only lunatic in the village. And yeah, my friends would talk, would joke about me. They're like, oh, we're going to the beach, and I guess you will be, in your room just practicing. And then that's the price you pay. So of course I did have a moment that I was like, oh, what if I just take just a normal life, that, but what should I be doing? But then every time I would come back to music. So I think it is really a happy place. So now I'm so used to, and I'm very happy with my music. Of course, it's a love and hate relationship with this instrument behind, and you can see.
Yes.
Yeah, and yeah, it is your best friend. It is, it is where your safe place. And I remember when I arrived in the UK, I didn't speak the language very well. I started kind of in intensive English course just to catch up with the basics, because I was in a kind of, I don't know, in America you call it high school and we call it GCSE. And suddenly you are the only Chinese in the whole class, and everybody speaks so fluently. And when the teacher asks you, "Do you understand me?" and then you're like, "Okay, okay, okay, yes, yes, yes," you don't know what to do. And so I remember the school has piano, and then I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank God, there's some familiar things is there." And then when I started to play, and everybody was, "Oh my gosh, she plays so well," and yeah, like how do you end up here? And then that also became my little weapon to make friends, and because everybody was like, "She plays piano quite well." And so also what it saved me, I think, from the loneliness.
That's really neat. It's been your friend the whole time through all that transition in your life. It was the safe space, your friend to go back to.
Yes, yeah, definitely. It's how do you call it? The constant in the
Hmm.
inconsistent.
So despite the challenges of, having to spend all the time to practice and sometimes feel lonely, why did you ultimately choose to do it as a career?
Because I think I really enjoy um, the thrilling feeling on stage, and because it's like every time is so different, and it's like adventure, and I do really enjoy giving my best, and sometimes very bad performance. I think most of the time you're like, oh my god, I should have done that better. And it is just so much fun, and then it is so much to learn. And I think it's also one of the reason I do not want to have children, because it does take so much of your time. And it's basically you are so connected, so your spiritual level is fulfilled. There's no need to go to other, there's just no need, simply there's no need. And it fulfills your fantasies, adventure, and then it gives you so much in return. This explosive love, this connection, the joy that when you play, it's so much. And then just don't know what other drugs can replace this one.
And and it doesn't have negative side effects.
Yeah, I don't think so. I mean, my husband sometimes is like, "Oh my God, I didn't know that I married someone who, your schedule is just piano, piano, piano." I think, yeah, that's one of also very important reason for me too, because the dedication to the piano, it's too much. And I know myself so well. I was like, I don't have that energy, to bring bring up another life. No, 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 that's not for me.
Something would suffer. Either the child would suffer or the piano would suffer.
Exactly. Yeah. And I don't want the piano to suffer. I'm that selfish.
You're that aware. We'll say you're that
Oh,
self-aware.
yeah, yeah, I'm that aware. Oh, I love that how you putting this in a much nicer.
More positive.
Yes.
Do you get to play a lot of concerts?
I did before the pandemic. I actually I was quite active, and so during the pandemic, we were in Hong Kong, and it was a very, 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 very lockdown compared to I think the majority of the other countries. Uh, and also during that time, we lost two of our dogs. I would say two of our girls, and one by one. So it was a very, very difficult and um, very dark time. And then we decided to, move to Lisbon. So I play, so I don't take too much concerts at the moment because I know myself. And I like to prepare new program for each concert. So I don't want to play the same program for another 5 years. I think I'll get so bored. And that's the whole thing about being child free, right? So I get time to learn, to really dive into the things I want to do. So I actually, yeah, really enjoy that. So I give myself about like 3, 4 concerts a year, and then the big one. So, and then that's it. I want to kind of dive back, coming back to my little cocoon, and then and plus the podcast. I'm just like, oh my God, there's so much to do. And plus teaching, I also teach a lot.
Piano, teach piano?
Yes, I teach piano. Yeah. And so it's kind of it's a super full-time job, but it's good. It's very creative. It's very scary because you are freelance. You need to worry about your income. And but it's a very, valuable experience and something that you can brag about, right, on the dinner table.
Yes, for sure. How do you find the concerts? Do they come to you, or is there like a website you go through, or how does that work?
I do my concerts through my personal connection because I went to conservatoire, and I have all my friends. They are basically from where we used to study together, and also through when you were younger, you joined competition. You probably know the jury, and then they end up being one of the top pianists in the world. So like just through like connections. And it's a very small, it's a small space, I would say. Everybody wants to be the next, superstar, or, everybody wants to be a diva, but you need to know where you are. And then as long as you are happy doing whatever you are, happy, because I think, classical music is very niche. Like 99% of people don't know what it's about. And it has such a high demand with your skills. And then it's like it's like an artisan, kind of you do treat it as a religion. You worship it with all your heart. And so it's not easy to spread the word to to people who don't understand. So some of my friends that I met, they never even been to a classical concert, so they would love to, but they just don't know how to get there. And so you just have to be really well connected, like be a little bit more, I think, extrovert. And it's it's not easy because we do suffer the syndrome of imposter syndrome, because I think like, oh, I'm not that good, like I'm a fraud. But then you're like, okay, if I don't show up, then nobody will notice me. So you just have to really keep pushing that. And yeah, it's not easy. It's not easy, definitely.
It's amazing how that imposter syndrome seems to affect all of us, no matter what industry we're in or hobby or whatever we're doing. It's so hard for the most part to get up there and feel like, okay, I'm good at this. I can do this. We always have our self-doubt. We're like our own worst enemy.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. And it's not talked about enough, I think. Some people, they only know the term when you describe that certain feeling, and they were like, oh my God, that's me. And then you lose a lot of opportunities, right? Because you're like, oh, yeah, I'm not that good. I shouldn't be up there. And then, oops, and somebody else came. You're like, oh, I think I'm better than them.
Yeah, you're like, actually, I could do that.
Yeah, 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 true.
What do you wish people knew about the classical music industry that common people that aren't a part of it wouldn't typically know?
That's a very good question. Thank you for bringing up on that question, Vanessa. I wish people to know that it's an industry that is dying and it needs to be saved. And we're not getting paid enough. We're not getting paid at all. And a lot of my friends don't get paid. They do free concerts. I did
Oh.
so many years of free concerts. Imagine you pay the most expensive conservatoire tuition fees, and they are very expensive. And then you end up with playing charity concerts. I'm lucky because I teach and I still have income, but many of my friends, they had to take a 9 to 5 job. It's not a very kid-friendly industry. So some of my friends, they decided not to have children because they don't like them, and then they don't want to even teach because they just can't handle that children running around.
Right.
And so instead, they take a 9 to 5 job, and then this job slowly became their, primary job. So they slowly lost the sparkle. So I think this is something we need to talk a little bit more about, how to teach, people from this classical musical world to actually make money through social media, through platforms. And don't be shy. And then, how to overcome this imposter syndrome, because I think we are very dedicated when it comes to our job, and then you know that the perfection is there, and then you still think it's not perfect, and everybody say, "Oh my God, that was amazing." You're like, "Oh, that was shit." I can do so much better. That's why I'm creating my own YouTube channel. I would like to talk more because there's just not talked enough, and everybody is hiding behind the instruments like, oh no, let's not talk about it. Somebody will save us. I was like, no, you have to save yourself. Yeah, follow me.
Yeah. I've always said things can't be fixed if people don't know it's a problem. So you have to talk about the
Absolutely.
problem.
Yes, yes.
And I had no idea that was a problem because I'm not in your industry, obviously. I didn't realize that so many musicians were going and playing unpaid, especially in classical music. So, was there a point when you knew you didn't want to be child-free? Like, was there a time where you were considering having children and then you said, no, no more? Or,
So that's also a very important question. So I never wanted to have a child, and I know that very, very early. And I remember when I was young, like maybe 7, and we had like a sleepover, girls sleepover. And when girls together, and then everybody's, oh, who are you going to get married in the future?
Mhm.
Yeah, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
And everybody said like, oh, I'm going to have twins. I'm going to marry, a prince. I'm going to, like, and then I was like, oh my God, like I never wanted to have a child. I never want to become a mom. So I know that from a very early age. And then, but when I met my first husband, so I was very young. I was so, so, so young and naive, and it was a very toxic relationship. And he always wanted to have a child. He never told me. And then suddenly he started to bring that up when I was basically a child. I mean, not a child, but I was very young. And so it did scare me. And then, but the worst thing was like he and his family were trying to kind of witch hunt me about, pressuring me to to have a child. And I remember I wanted to save my marriage, and I was trying to convert myself to give I was really trying to brainwash myself like, oh, maybe it's not so bad.
Mhm.
Maybe it is what I'm supposed to do. Maybe I will have a very happy marriage. Maybe, like all this maybe scenario. And until one of my really good friends, she's also a child-free musician. And I remember I told her, and then she said to me, don't have a child. If you don't want to have a child, don't have a child. Otherwise, you'll regret for the rest of your life. And don't. So her don't like stick with me. She said, ask yourself, do you really want to have a child? I said, no, I don't. You are doing it for somebody else. Yes, I am. And don't have a child. And of course, it cost almost everything that I had. But I'm glad I stick with that decision, because it's when I think about having a child, and my whole body started to, having this reaction of like, oh my God, like this an agitated feeling, that unsafety feeling. I felt very unsafe. I felt very, very uncomfortable. Even just by thinking about that thought. Yeah, even now. And yeah, so when I met my second husband, I told him at the beginning, before we even started going out, I was like, I do not have a child. If you want to have a child, please, there's no need for us to, even date because
Mhm.
I don't want to waste your time. And luckily, he ticked all the boxes. He's like, no, I don't want to have a child. I was like, really? Does somebody think like me? So finally, no pronatalism. I was like, yay.
I think that's an
Yeah,
important conversation to have personally when you're dating is to figure that out for yourself, whether you do or don't want children, even if it means you do want them, but then finding somebody else that aligns with it because as you experienced yourself, when you weren't in alignment, it just causes so much trouble later down the road. And
absolutely.
if you would have had the child, you would have compromised a very big part of your life and potentially resented that. And vice versa. If you didn't have a child for him,
Hmm.
he wouldn't get what he wanted in life. And children are such a big part of our life to make that kind of a compromise for somebody else.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people don't realize that how much work since the birth of the child is it's going to take from you. And a lot of people seeing that they don't detailize into this, they don't dissect that image. So for example, I would actually think so detailed, like, about changing diapers, about, having a cough, having a fever, that, you're going to get up and having all these cries, and then how you're going to handle that. Also, that's important to say that I think you really need to know yourself
Mhm.
before making a decision whether you want to have a child or not. And if you know yourself enough, you know that what's your energy level. So, for example, I know I probably a husky is the 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 most that I can handle. No more than that. No border collie. I can't handle another border
Oh,
collie.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't have two dogs. Yeah. And then because my energy level is already, depleted at that time, so I will not have extra energy to do anything else. And so by having a child, I think also you need to really see your energy level. If you are low energy, if you are comfortable in the cocoon, you lay back, and I don't think it's a good idea, really, to be honest. If you are very, hyper, you have so much energy to give, you are like all the time dancing around, and you have a lot of, um, I don't know, just how do I even say that? Not so sentimental. Like I'm super sentimental. I get sad when my dog has diarrhea. And so that's not gonna work when you have
Okay.
an actual a baby. Yeah, so I think if you know yourself enough, if you know your mind, if you know your psychological reaction to a lot of stress, you know your stress response, and I think you can make that decision. And that's just one of the criteria for me, I think, to advise to people when they are in this crossroad. I think it's just not talked enough also, this topic, because most of the people don't go to this detail. They just say like, oh, it's nice, yeah, they cry, but it's normal. And but what about the detail? We want to know the actual detail.
I agree. There's a lot to having a child, and I think it's very important to think it out in detail, like you're saying. If you're not feeling that great, you're a little bit sick, you still have to get up and care for the child and feed it and clothe it. And are you ready to do that even when you don't feel great and all you want to do is lay on the couch?
Yeah.
The schools, the doctor's appointments, there's so much that goes into it and it's 24/7. So are you
Yes.
prepared for that? I think it's something that should be taken seriously.
Yeah, yeah, and also know your body is gonna change, know
Mhm.
everything, your mind, and then your financial status, and your life circle, and your career, probably your dreams, everything will change. And if you are up for it, like, okay, I can take it, it's an adventure. And then if you're super energetic, go for it. I say to my friends, I think they deserve two, three. I think there's no problem. They're so hyper. And I do give actually advice now to my friend who is in this crossroad. I'm very honest with them. I can't even see you having a cat. How can you have a child? And yeah, because you're always sick, always on the couch. And I don't know, shall we talk honestly, or shall we just say, oh, this is not my business? And because it's too personal, right?
I'm of the belief that we should talk, and I
Yeah,
believe
me
that's what
too.
good friends are for, to
Hmm.
kind of say, "Hey, are you sure about this? Have you thought about
Yes.
this?" Not to
Yeah.
necessarily tell them how to make their decision, but to bounce ideas off and just be real, not be like, "Oh, it'll be fine, you'll figure it out." It might not be fine. They might not figure it out, so Really having those open, honest conversations, friend to friend, I think is super important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, I agree.
It sounds like you had that in the past with your friend, and that really helped you make just validate your thoughts. Like, okay, I'm not alone. I, you said with your first husband when you were kind of, oh, maybe I should, but your friend saying like, no, you shouldn't. It just kind of gave yourself that opportunity to give yourself permission to say like, no, this is what I want. I don't want kids.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was definitely at this important moment somebody gave me a really, really kind of anchor.
Right.
And I'm very thankful to her because I did feel like very stressed because when everybody's pressuring you and
Mhm.
they use this love bombing, this technique, they want to get what they want because when someone want to have a child, they will do whatever. And, to make it realized. I'm very, very glad I made the decision. I'm very, very glad. And so I was like, oh my God, universe is looking out for me. And yeah, but it did feel like a witch hunt. It did leave a scar because, this basically they regard you as a not nice person anymore. They
Mhm.
think, you are lunatic, you are crazy, basically. You are not fulfilling a woman's job and you don't want to have a baby. Like what's wrong with you? Like, you need to see a psychiatrist. There's something wrong with you. You don't want to give birth. And, but then when I go to walk my dog, I always, look up to trees and the plants. And then, some trees, they just don't have this flowers, right? Some trees they do and they don't bear fruits or they just a tree. They just have leaves, but they're still a tree.
Yes.
Yeah, and some trees they have a lot of flower. They're very pretty, very beautiful. They become blossom, and so I think we just need to really follow that nature path. And when you're deeply craving for something that it is so true, and stick to that truth, stick to this natural path. And so one of my friend who did many rounds of IVF, but is not successful. And that's what I also told her about. Don't fight against the nature. If the nature
Mhm.
doesn't want to give you that, you don't fight against it and find something else, find another cause for you to continue your life. There must be something, rather than having a child. I know it's for some women, they want that idea so, so, so much, but they can't have it. And they ended up being so unhappy for decades, for
Mm.
decades. And then people always give this sympathy, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. But also, we need to find out the meanings. There must be something we could look for if you are resilient enough, if you're willing to look and beyond. And it doesn't need to define you. That's something I think maybe many people don't like to hear about, but I like to say it.
Right, find another purpose, find something else that can fulfill you in your life, and you can give back in other ways to the community, to everybody other than
Yeah.
continuing, the
Yes,
human race.
yes.
How did you work through when they were kind of on this witch hunt and making you feel this certain way about not wanting a child? How did you work through that?
So to know to go through your childhood again and again to find the answer. I think you do deep down, this is not what you want. But also that this person is going to be so mad at you, is going to, curse you probably for the rest of his life. And this family is going to abandon you. And I was very scared. I was very, very scared. I felt like an outcast. Because you know exactly deep down your inner voice is always trying to protect you. And I don't know who said that the other day. Maybe it's from a podcast. They said like, when did your inner voice lie to you? Ask yourself. Yeah, it's
Great one.
always your right. It's always your logical. Your mind is trying to rationalize everything, but your inner voice, that's a direct. Protection that it tells you, what you really, really want. And then I was like, okay, and you'll be the end of everything. But it's okay. I can, reconstruct myself. And it was a very, very, painful, breakup. And, it was very abusive. It was so abusive to a point that I just had to escape. I can't be there anymore. And of course, I did a super intensive therapy, and I really thought I was losing my mind at the point, because you felt like, okay, by sticking to my choice, someone would be to treat you so badly, and then there's not even a conversation. It's just like, you are a witch, and that's it. You deserve to be dead, and that's
Wow.
it. And so knowing that you spend such a long time with someone, and then there's not even a conversation or dialogue, there's not even negotiation. No, it's just like black and white. So I did went through that super self-doubt, like, am I going to be happy again? I'm going to be okay again. And am I going to find love again? Am I going to be, just saying, I probably will die tomorrow. Yeah, what if I die tomorrow? Because you're traumatized and your heart rate is like not very regulated. And then you have this PTSD, extreme PTSD. And then, so I really know that feeling, because I've been through, I was like, I understand how people have that reaction. And
Mhm.
because before I go through that, I didn't know. And I was like, oh my God, that's really true. Like your heart rate goes so high, and then you don't know what to do. You don't know how to regulate yourself. You are like hyperventilating. You are like gasping for air. But eventually, therapy really helped me so much, and also music, and then your friends, your true friend, they're there to hold you. They're the one who tell you that you're doing okay. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. It's very normal to be crazy for a while. Yeah, it's normal to go through this grief. And also, that was the first time I discovered really like self-love, and I discovered affirmation, and to allow myself to check my childhood. Okay, I forgive my parents. All right, can I forgive them? Sometimes, yeah, I can. Sometimes, maybe not. Sometimes when they trigger, you triggered your memory, you are like, yeah, because of you. Yeah, like, what have you done to me? But sometimes you can. Sometimes you're like, oh, I'm the bigger person. It's fine, and it's done. It's done. It's in the past. There's no power over me. But you do need to. It's a constant working, in progress. So I'm still working on it, and sometimes the trauma still come to haunt me. Even though now, mm, I would say, I don't want to say I have a wonderful marriage, but I have a happy marriage. I would say, a very, there's no worry about having a child. It's actually, yeah, yeah, you know what I mean.
Yes. Well, we all have struggles no matter what. Even now, we're both gonna have struggles even if we're in a happy marriage. There's things, it's life, right?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
But I think it's very important, like you said, to listen to your inner voice. For me personally, also, you were describing earlier how your body felt. It wasn't really words, but your body just felt like tense whenever you thought about potentially having a child. And I've been in similar situations and bad relationships where that was the same thing. Like my body just was tense, hyperventilating, just all these things that you can't even control. And that's when I started to learn to just like listen to what your body's doing. Do I feel at calm? Do I feel at peace with this decision or this person? My mind might be saying one thing, but is my body saying something different?
Yeah, I think you're right, because it's the primary reaction, right? Like
Mm.
and a lot of, like, imagine the small decisions, bigger decisions that we make throughout the day, even. And sometimes our body saying this, and then our mind was like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah, maybe it's nicer. I will look much better to do this. And then you end up like, oh, I should have listened to my body.
Yeah.
And then for me, it's just so nice to find people who think like me, because I thought I was the witch. Definitely, I accepted. I was like, wow, probably, I would end up losing all my friends, and I would end up, and be alone, and then everybody would, be sharing with their grandkids or something. But then, slowly, when I think the internet does help a lot of social media, and then you kind
Mhm.
of connect to people. They're like, oh my God, somebody else having the, oh, really? Like, you're like me. Oh my God. Yeah. So I'm very actually happy to talk to you about this, because there's not many chances for me to share this with another person who can understand.
Same. That's why I'm excited to have you here to talk about it for the same reasons.
Yeah, yeah.
You're definitely not a witch, you're definitely not alone. You're not the only person who doesn't
Yeah.
want a child.
Think do you know Nicole Louis and her book?
I don't believe so.
So Nicole Louis, she's a Brazilian Irish writer, and she wrote a book called Others Like Me. So
Oh.
I met her last year, and when she did her book tour in Lisbon, and that book really helped me so much because it really resonates with because she also never wanted to have a child, and also she went through a first marriage that caused her first marriage that you know, her first husband at the end wanted to have a child. And so this they decided to get a divorce. It was very painful. And so she interviewed 14 different women from, across the world, and also to know their story of being child free, childless, or some women, genetically cannot, bear a
Uh-huh.
child. So it's a very, very good book and very interesting and very beautifully written. So it was not like very extreme, like this is bad, this is good. So it was it blended so well. And she also put her own story inside. So I highly recommend that.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm gonna check that out. It sounds super interesting.
Oh, you will love it. You will love that book.
I heard in one of your podcasts that you like to call yourself the social mother. I'm putting air quotes around it, social mother.
Oh my God, you listen to my podcast. How did you do that? It's in Chinese.
The subtitles on
Yeah.
YouTube.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
I read
yeah.
it. I didn't
Social.
listen to it, I read it.
Yeah, right. Thank you, thank you. Yes, yeah. I also want to mention that I think children really like me, and I have no idea why. Because I always think I make them cry. I'm like this because I need intellectual connection. When a child approach me, I have to find their intellectual point. I was like, and then I decide can I talk to them or not. But when I was 19, I started to teach my first kid in London. I was so scared. And the mother came to me. I was like, no, I can't. And she's like, yeah, you can. I was like, no, like it's a child. Like what do you want me to do? It's a, like, I don't know how to babysit. I don't know how to be with them. And just being around them just making me so uncomfortable. And because, they're constantly bouncing around, right? They're just like this nonstop. They all have ADHD. And then the energy just like make me feel very uncomfortable, very nervous. But then I think somehow they like me because maybe I'm very direct, I'm very straightforward, and maybe because I'm not thinking myself as a mother, I don't hold myself as that mother figure in the future,
Mhm.
even a million years to come, and so I myself a big kid, so maybe for them they kind of sense my energy is quite approachable,
Uh-huh.
and so from teaching, I did gain a lot of children. So I don't even how many children I have, I don't know. And even bigger children, I have some moms that they are also want to come back to piano, and then they're like my bigger kids too. So I do think this social mother role somehow just landed on me, and I think I did it quite well, I think, because um we have a very good relationship. And but the thing is, you don't see them every day. I teach them through online at the moment because most of them are based in Hong Kong and
Yeah.
mainland China. And so even they used to come to my house every day. You just see them once, 1 hour, and then they get to go home. You get to get the house quiet again, right? Yeah, I remember I have one super, 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 super ADHD kid, and his mother always late to pick him up. And I told her, I was like, you can't be late because he's bouncing around after the class. I don't know what to do with him. So me and my husband had to kind of entertain him for until the parents arrive. And
Yeah.
sometimes I think sometimes they're late for half an hour. I was like, I have to charge you double for that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
You're not a free
and
babysitter.
exactly, yeah. So now most of them are bigger now. So they are 12, 13, and some of them decided not to continue piano. Some of them still continue. It's life. But you do build a very special relationship with them, and they trust you, you trust them. It's quite sweet sometimes when I think about it. And so, and also I think we should not forget about those social mother, not just teachers. I think caretakers, and even I would say like vet, and they're super loving people. We need to give them credit, like kindergarten teachers. Oh my God, what's wrong with them to take that job?
I know, I don't know how they do it.
Yeah, exactly. I have a funny story. So one of my friends, she has two kids. She's a very close friend of mine. I remember because she's such a mother figure. By nature, she loves children. By nature, I don't. And then I remember when I went through my first marriage, when I ended, and she told me something. She's like, you need to surround yourself with love and with a pure love. Who can give you pure love? I was like, dogs.
That's what I was gonna
And
say.
yeah, and then she's like, no, you need to surround yourself with children. They will heal you. Yeah, you don't have to have them, but they will heal you. And I was like, probably she's right. Let me give a try. So I went to a local school, a kindergarten. It made me worse. Oh my God. I entered, I was like, my heart was already bumping. And then I had to call, I almost called the ambulance because, and then I called, I was like, what kind of a device is that? She's like, oh, you didn't enjoy? I was like, no. Yeah. So it was a funny story. I was like, I would never, I would never give that advice to anyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Surround yourself with puppies.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
Yeah.
especially
Yeah.
if you don't want children, it's just like, no, that doesn't bring me joy.
Yeah, yeah. For you,
It's
is it the
stress.
same? Do you like naturally you just kind of withdraw from the energy?
Yeah, I'm not attracted to it either. And I feel like the older I get, I'm 39 now, the older I get, the less I want to be around and can tolerate being around other children. When I was younger, I was a nanny for quite a while. And so I
Oh
had, when I was like my
wow.
teenage years, yeah, so I had a lot of exposure to children and in a sense, kind of raising them. I mean, their parents were there, of course, the full time, but I had them during the day and doing different activities, and I'd even go on vacations with them sometimes so I could take care of the kids while the parents had a date night. And I always kind of joke around that was my birth control and why I never wanted kids because I already got to
Yeah.
experience it.
Yeah, I actually wanted to. I've always wondered, people who actually took care of children, would they end up actually having one? I've always wondered that. Do
Yeah.
you think actually, sorry, I'm not trying to interview you, but I'm
No,
just
you're
curious,
fine.
genuine curiosity. Yeah. And do you really think that contributed to your decision?
I think so because I got to see how it was 3 children. I'm trying to remember their ages at the time. It was a 6-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old, I think. So little. And they weren't in school at the time. So it wasn't even like they go to school and come back. And I saw what was involved. I would get there 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, take care of them all day till like 5. So it was breakfast, it was lunch, it was sometimes I was even making them dinner. I would do the laundry and the dishes and make their beds, like the whole thing. It was basically like I was being a housewife in a way, and it wasn't attractive to me. And it was nothing to do with the kids. I'm still in touch with the family now, and the kids are all in their 20s, and one actually just had her first baby, the oldest one did. So it's really cool to see them have grown up and we have a great relationship, but
Hmm.
it was just I wasn't attracted to that lifestyle. It was just not anything that I wanted to do. I mean, before that, I don't even think that I wanted kids, but that definitely was kind of the nail in the coffin for me.
Yeah, I thank you for sharing that because I would imagine because you went through that, it was not glamorous at all. I think we want to look for the positive side, like, what life can, give you, what kind of excitement, right? And not just excitement, I would say just the interesting part.
Right.
And then for me too, because I get to see so many families, when they grow up, and then I get to go to their house and see the chaos and then see even the ultra rich, but they still have the chaos. They still have this, milk bottle everywhere. And then you do like, oh my God, like, it's just like you constantly see the tired side of the reality and you see how much sleep they had to sacrifice. And then just like, wow, it's just so not okay. And then you're like, and then people were like, oh my God, if you don't give birth, then somebody else has to, right? Because the birth rate will decrease and then the humanity will just, extinct. And actually, yeah, actually, one of my friend's daughter recently told me that she also doesn't want to have a child. And I was very surprised because my friend passed away when she was 45. And before she died, she died during the pandemic through lung cancer.
Mm.
And she called me. She said, I need you to basically look after my daughter because she needs a guidance. You have to be that figure for her because there's nobody else can do that job. And I had to say yes. I mean, it was a big it was a big ask, but I can't refuse her because she was about to die. And
Right.
then and we're very close. I was super sad. I was super scared. I thought she was gonna die after the phone call. And it was my first time, really talking to someone who she was on morphine, and she was in so much pain. She was really trying to be conscious, and she was already speaking very weird things. So I said yes. And then after she passed away, me and her daughter, and we keep contact. We talk to each other regular basis. And she recently told me she's now, or I think she's in postgraduate already. And she said, I decided not to have children. I was like, your mother is so pro-natal and pro-birth, pro-life. And what's wrong? And I was like, I hope I don't give you any, influence. She said, no, 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 it's not from you because she took she's a biologist. I think she's going to be a biologist when she finished her school. And she saw the biology. She told me about um, how life's supposed to last. Basically a race or an organism. Is supposed to last when the nature allows you to.
Mm.
And it was very beautiful. And she told me that if it goes extinct, it goes. And there's nothing to be sorry about. You're already occupied enough. You had your fun. You destroyed enough. And then, let somebody else take over. And she said from a very lighthearted, I had a joke. I was like, oh my God, I need to process this.
Yes.
Yeah. And so she told me last year. And then this year she told me again that she's so sure about her decision. And the other day I was having a kind of a woo-woo moment with my friend who passed away. I was like, please don't blame me. I didn't even implant anything on her.
It's not my fault.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not my fault. Yeah.
That's an interesting perception she has from a biologist, though.
Yeah, yeah. I'm still thinking about it because what she said was so deep. I never thought about how our evolution supposed to be
Mhm.
like this.
I think we're a long way from going extinct because there's so many people out there that have 2, 3, and sometimes more children, and our population's still growing.
Oh yes, yes,
But
yes.
if it does go extinct, I hadn't really thought about it a whole lot like that, but I really do
Okay.
like how she put it. Let nature take its course and let
Yes.
nature be nature.
Yeah. Yeah, we don't fight it. We just surrender, Human beings, time to surrender.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm very, very glad that to spend some time with you because it's so nice to talk to people when you share the same value.
I agree, especially since it seems there's not a ton of us, at least, in person. So it's really nice to get to have that conversation, to not feel alone, to know other people are on similar thought
Yeah.
trains.
Yeah, exactly. And also I last time I was hosting Nicole's book club, and then I think somebody came up with a wonderful idea was that we should have a child-free summit. Like really try to find where is everybody located and have an internet summit that really to talk about what do we do with our creativity, our free time, and then how can we make our life and the world, really contribute to, what we believe, because not everybody is going to end up with 10 cats and die alone. We also have a
Right.
wonderful, amazing life, right? And we also are so capable of loving each of us and doesn't have to be through a biological child.
because we have the extra free time in our schedule since we don't have children, that's oftentimes allowing us to do other things in the community or for other people that we may not have been able to do. So we're definitely contributing in a lot of ways.
Yeah. And yeah, I think so too. So I think the other day somebody also told me, I forgot who, about this, we shouldn't pay the same tax.
Yes, I've said that for years.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, they tax us for the schools over here. I'm not sure if it's the
Yeah.
same,
Oh
but I'm
really?
like, I'm never gonna use the school system for my own
Yeah,
child.
yeah.
I went through school, but my parents paid tax, so I'm like, why do I have to pay taxes
Yeah, yeah,
for that?
exactly. It's like, you don't get maternity leave, you don't get, you'll have to cover all the holidays, right? If
Right.
somebody is taking a maternity leave and the person who probably work in the office have to, take that role. And imagine if this person doesn't have a child, he or she will never take that leave.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I think our society also have to follow up with this, with the people's decision. And
Hmm.
we are not this weirdo, this anti-social group. We're actually very loving, very pro-social, want to do more for people. But also we're very useful, not not the selfish, of being always regarded. And because I have been regarded by, I'm from a Chinese background, imagine my family how they treated me. It's like yeah, it's not nice.
Yeah. From what I understand
Yeah.
culturally, it's like a expectation, right, that you have a child.
Basically you are, yeah, you have to. It's like, there's no negotiation. You have to at least have one. And that's what my mother used to say to me, at least have one. What do you mean at least have one? Like, what does that mean, But now she had to accept of being the only grandma without actual baby,
Yeah.
And she's doing better. Definitely, she's accepting it. She does have the resentment sometimes, especially during Chinese New Year, all this kind of social occasions. But I think she started to see how my life is turning out, because I'm completely in control. This is no, I'm not in control. I'm not in control with the world, but I'm completely responsible for myself,
Hmm.
and that's a very lucky life, right?
Absolutely. I'm sure that parents like yours that wanted a child, they have to kind of grieve the fact that they're not going to have a grandchild. I'm sure it's a process for them as well. But
And
it's your
for your
life.
family also?
They never really pressured me to have
Wow.
children. I no longer have a relationship with my family anymore.
Okay.
My immediate family as well. We've been through a lot through the years. So at this point, like we don't have contact. But
Mhm.
even when I was younger and we were still in contact, they never really pressured me. They didn't, I was also married before and they didn't like my first husband. And so I kind
Mhm.
of think they didn't want me to have a kid because they were like, then you'll be stuck with him. They never said
Okay.
that, but that's my analysis of the situation.
Yeah.
And then after I've been divorced from him, we don't have contact anymore. So I don't know what their opinion is on it, to be honest.
I don't know if you also take that friendship importance in your life too, because I guess when we don't have a biological family or so close to us, when we kind of distance ourselves, or they distance themselves from us, and I do think like having supportive friendship is very, very important.
I agree. Yeah, I have some close friends that are very important to me because they're like family now since I don't have that immediate family.
Yeah.
I have like one cousin that I'm still in touch with, but
Hmm.
um, you know, not really like the same as your immediate family that you grew up with, but I definitely value the friendships. They mean a lot, and especially when they show up for you in ways that your own family never showed up for you and support you in
Hmm.
ways that you never received. I kind of felt like you mentioned before, like, what did I do to deserve this? Like, you're not my blood relative. I may have only known you
Hmm.
for 5 years or 10 years, which is relatively short in lifespan, but yet you're just
Yeah.
being such a wonderful human being and just treating me as if I'm your own
Yeah.
child or I'm your own brother or sister, so I'm super grateful for
Hmm.
them.
Yeah. It's beautiful, and I'm happy that you have a circle like this.
I'm working to
Yeah.
build my child-free friend circle. Not that I don't want friends without kids, but it definitely changes the dynamic, of as far as, like,
Yes.
availability to make plans or make plans last minute or just
Yeah.
to just to relate and kinda see the world the same way. As you mentioned earlier, just to
Mhm.
be able to sit down and speak freely and kind of know that you each share that viewpoint. Oh, good
Yeah,
to
definitely, because it's difficult to at least for several years, when especially when they just give birth. I think it's very, very, very difficult to find time unless they consciously really making, they unless
Mm.
they are conscious, because we are conscious because we don't
Yeah.
have the extra things to worry. And especially when they are not getting enough sleep. And then I would always, worry about my friends. So I was like, my God, like you probably haven't slept for in 2 days. And one of my friend actually told me, I felt I felt hurt for her because she said, having a child give her a lot of, strength. She thought she never had. She ended up knowing that she doesn't need that much sleep. I was like, are you sure? Are you sure? I don't think, yeah. Don't say that. Yeah, you don't need to compromise don't say that. It doesn't mean that, you can complain. I think it's also the mothers, they are allowed to complain. And then sometimes I felt like they're not even give themselves that permission, because when they complain, they feel like they're a bad person. They are cursing their own kids. And it might be, something will happen, So it's so unhealthy. Yeah, I complain about my dog all the time. He has diarrhea, he has IBD. Yeah, I complain all the time.
Yeah,
So I think that it would be so nice for us to really have a real conversation for people who either coming from if they're parents or like us, we adult parents, or I don't know, cat parents or single, and then to really really talk to each other without any expectation or judgment, and just knowing that if you need help, if I need help, it's both sided, right?
that's what
Yeah.
friendship is for, is to be there and help each other, That's
Yeah,
part of what it's
exactly.
for.
A lot of people, once they have children, they change a lot, and without knowingly, I think. And it's hard, and then probably sometime, if you're lucky, they come back to you after several years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is
and then sometimes just that's it, that's a goodbye.
Yeah. And I don't
Yeah.
really blame them or I don't hold it against them because I do truly
Hmm.
believe that when you have a child, that should become your priority. You're responsible for
Yes.
this other human being. That should be your priority over myself or your other friends. So,
Mm.
and I get it.
Yeah.
Like this, it's so much work and there's so much involved. My husband and I say all the time, we both work full time. Like, how do parents do it? We feel like we're just busy as it is with work
Yeah.
and trying to do the normal things you have to do as a human being. We're like, how do
Yeah. Yeah.
parents do it? So I don't blame them at all. I don't
Yeah.
like, it's not like a bitter feeling towards them or anything, but, just
Hmm.
kind of trying to find, well, I would like to still have friends in my friend circle. So just trying to kind of find that other people that have the same values too.
I think child free people should be more accessible to each other, because we're gonna, I don't know, can I ask you a question? I don't know if you want to put it on the podcast, but it's quite personal.
Yeah.
Can I ask you if you ever worried about, when you're getting old, this retirement and then stuff? Have you ever worried about that?
A little bit, to be honest, a little bit. However,
Mhm.
my husband works in healthcare and he works in home health here. So
Mhm.
I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that means that he actually goes to the people's homes and he does physical therapy. So he gives them physical therapy in their homes. And majority of his clients tend to be elderly. And
Mhm.
so he sees what it's like, on their side already. And he has a
Mm.
patient right now that's 100 years old. And yeah, she's really impressive from what he's like, she's got so much energy. Anyways, what he's observed is even majority of the patients have children and they're still alone. The children are adults. Obviously, they're 40, 50, 60 years old themselves and they're working, they have their own kids or just their own lives. And even some of his patients have an adult child that is only a couple miles down the road and they might see them once a month. Or he's had some that will drop groceries off like once a month or every other week and then leave. So that tells me that even if you do have children, that doesn't mm, give you a guarantee that they're going to be there to take care of you, for whatever reason it might be. And so I think we really have to kind of not look at it as like, well, the child's going to do it. So what do I need to do to prepare as we get older? And what will that look like? So maybe, have our finances in order, make sure that we're saving or investing or doing whatever we can so that we have money to take care of ourselves when we get older. And him and I talk all the time about possibly leaving the US and going somewhere where it's more affordable to live because it's very expensive here and it's only going to continue to get more expensive. I'm sure it's expensive where you are as well. But, there's other countries that I love to watch like documentaries and stuff, and older people are moving there. And not only is it more affordable, but the care is better. Like the care here for elderly is not good. And let me rephrase that. It's not like there aren't good places. There are good places around, but a lot of the places they're understaffed and they're underpaid, so the care is minimal. Occasionally he's had to go into like a care home where there's staff there, they don't live by themselves. They're in some facility and he's like, you see things like they're barely turning them over. They went to the bathroom in their diapers and they're laying in it for hours and hours because nobody's coming in to take care of them and things like that. So that's what worries me is I don't want to be in that position. And those tend to be the places, at least here in the US, that are cheaper and more affordable. The places that have the really good care are, I'm talking like $15,000-$20,000 a month, like crazy amount of money for the really good ones. That's kind of where my head's at. Like, it does make me nervous, but what can I do to prepare to hopefully not be in those situations?
Mm.
And then alongside that, it's really important to me, like my health. So I try to be active. I try to work out. I'm very particular about my food and what we eat and not eating a bunch of preservatives and processed
Mm.
foods, trying to eat real ingredients because I believe if I take care of myself now, it's going to help me later to be more independent and hopefully not have to go into like a care facility super early. I mean, obviously, there's diseases and things that could pop up, and you have, little to no control over that. That was a
That's
long answer.
also eye-opening. I'm, first time talking to, someone who knows about elderly, you know. I did a volunteer job when I was very young in the UK to go to older people's home to read newspaper for them. And they were so lovely. They make us, tea and biscuits and and they were so lonely. They were so lonely. They were so
Mhm.
happy to see anybody. Mm.
That's what he
I don't think they
experiences too.
Yeah, I don't think they never seen a Chinese girl, but they were so happy to see me and my crippled English. And then so I was like, my God. And their home is very loving, it's like very nicely decorated and it's quite clean. And yeah, so I had that, remind me of my that experience too, because that's the reality. Now thinking about if you even you have children, like they have their own life. They can't
Mhm.
be 24/7 like me. I have my mother, like she's the other side of the world. And she refused to come to stay with me for too long because she would be very bored. She doesn't speak the language, doesn't have friends, and I refuse to leave back home because it's a estranged place for me. So yeah, it's we look at the reality and how can we even think about relying on children once you get old. I think they're the most unreliable.
Right. They're busy too. And then even if they are in the position to they don't have to work and they can come and stay with you. Let's say you did need 24/7 care like you have Alzheimer's or some other sickness. They're not trained. They haven't been trained how to care for somebody in that position. And he
Yeah.
has seen that. He has seen some situations where they live with family, but the care is still questionable. Like they're not abusing them, they're fed, they're clothed, it's clean, but
Yeah.
the care is still questionable because they haven't been trained how to be a nurse or an Alzheimer's, whatever you call that, professional. So
Right.
it's still challenging and it puts a ton of stress and strain on that person
Yeah.
that's trying to be the caregiver. It's very exhausting. So
Yeah.
I don't think I would even wanna put that on, a child if I had one, if I was, like, in that
Mm.
bad of a situation health-wise.
Yes. Yeah, that's also some society is not talking enough. That's what I think.
Mm.
Yeah, the real conversation. There's a lot of beautiful fabricated image about this happy Christmas, slow motion angle. They see, everybody's happy taking their presents, but it's not all the case.
Mm.
It's if if you end up in a happy dinner, I think you are lucky. If you don't argue during Thanksgiving or Christmas, yeah,
Absolutely.
that's considered to be lucky. Yeah.
And I always keep in mind too, like, there's a possibility if you have a child that they could be born with their own medical issues and they
Yeah.
might not even have the capacity to care for you. You might have to be caring for them until you die. Or, in like my situation where I don't have contact with my parents anymore.
Mm.
So if they were counting on me when they were younger, it's not going to happen now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
there's just so many other things that I'm not saying, like, if you wanna have kids, you should look at those things and not have kids, but if you don't want kids, I don't think those should be a reason to talk yourself into having kids.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. That's also important. Don't talk yourself into something. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because there's no
Yeah. Oh, there's
guarantee.
yeah, so many to discuss about this. This is such a big topic.
I know. Maybe I can have you on again, and we can talk some more
No
if you're
problem. Yeah,
interested.
I'm very, very interested. I'm yeah, always happy to talk about this issue, especially now I know that people are talking. I get more, I feel like I get more supported. Yeah, because before I always felt like nobody wants to hear about my opinion. And I always felt very guilty, when I in the dinner table, and I felt so guilty. I was like, oh, okay, I don't have kids, and okay, bye, you know.
It does
Yeah.
make you kind of feel, at least in my speaking from my experience, it kind of makes me feel almost like an outcast in some instances. Like
Mhm.
I went to, I guess it was a Christmas party, you would say, like one of my friends invited me and it was in a different state, so I traveled there. I didn't know anybody there except for her and her sister. And as it turned out, her sister doesn't have kids actually, and she's like 50 something, which is cool. But everybody else there, including my friend that I'm closest with, everybody there had children. And so it was all women. It was like a women Christmas party. And so we're sitting at the table doing crafts for Christmas, and everybody's talking about their kids' school, the school schedules. And I just sat there quietly doing my craft because I was like, I don't have anything to contribute. I wasn't bothered by the conversation, but I couldn't participate because I can't relate at all. So it just
Yeah.
kind of was an interesting event because I was there with like 10 or 12 other women, but I probably didn't say hardly anything because the whole conversation was about children almost the entire event? So in
But do
that way,
you
it can feel
think
isolating.
do you think there are more and more people choosing not to have children
I think so.
because of the realistic side, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think we're seeing more people choose not to have children, and then I think we're seeing more people feeling more confident to say, I don't want children, versus maybe shying away from
Mm.
the question or the topic. I think there's a lot of reasons for it. I think it's not just one particular thing, but a bunch of reasons.
Yeah, I think like, it's more about the security, about the resources, and
Mhm.
also it is so expensive. It is so expensive.
Yeah, a lot of people here are like, they're struggling as it is, or they're like getting by and they're like, we can't afford to feed and clothe and do all this for another child because
Yeah,
a child's
yeah,
very
exactly.
expensive.
Very
School and
expensive.
sports.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you. A lot of things we don't say enough. A lot of things we say too much. And yeah, I think we should start really, think about what is not discussed enough, and then to really bring up, and
Yeah.
without hesitation, because the hesitation would delay the social progress, and it would delay people's consciousness. Yeah.
So I started a new tradition recently on the podcast where a previous guest leaves a question for the next guest, which would be you, and they don't know who you are. I don't tell them your name or what you do or nothing. I just say, can you leave a question for the next guest? And so I'm going to ask you to do the same. And I thought it was interesting the question they left, because of what you do. It is, what's one thing that you're incredible at, whether it's a natural talent or a learned skill?
So that was a question from previous guest.
Yes.
Oh, wow. Wow. Oh, I mean, for my answer, it's music, it's piano, and I think also my life experience to be able to live in different cultures and place. I do feel so privileged to be to belong to the world, and I don't belong to particular a place, and then I understand what love mean in different language, different culture, and that's wonderful. Sometimes I say how lucky I am. So now I can count my blessings tonight.
For sure.
Beautiful question. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
You're welcome. Thank
Yeah,
you. I hope you have a great evening.
thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Life Outside the Default. If you would like to connect with myself or our guest, or be a guest and share your story on the show, please check out the show notes. You will find all of our contact information there. Thank you.